to be honest, I haven't sort of seen you talk about these things, but this was something that sort of draws my attention. Am I audible?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about like Advaita Vedanta and things
Mm-hmm.
like Buddhism. So the thing with me right now is I probably categorize myself as an agnostic. I don't really know sort of where I really fall. That's how I sort of look at things. But I just wanted to get your takes on Advaita Vedanta or like the Buddhist tradition of like the schools of thought, because those
Advaita
darshans are
Vedanta and the
pretty much.
Buddhist. So Buddhist tradition is quite a wide bracket. उसके अंदर what exactly are you talking about?
So I think there's like Tibetan Buddhism. So when you read, I think Sam Harris's Moral Landscape, उसमें
Hmm.
उसने बाद में लिखा है कि ऐसे तो he's a pure rationalist and something of that sort. But if there are two religions that you really can't sort of logically discriminate against or logically can't really find flaws in their argument, it's probably Advaita Vedanta and a Tibetan form of Buddhism. Now
I
I'm not
don't
really
remember
sure of
Sam Harris saying
the
this about.
technical
I
terms.
remember Sam Harris say. I remember Sam Harris saying this about Tibetan Buddhism. I don't remember
Okay.
Sam Harris saying this about Advaita Vedanta.
All right. I heard it somewhere. So basically, do you know of this guy called, he runs this podcast called the Charvaka podcast? I'm
Yes.
forgetting his name. So I'd seen his interview with
Kushal
on
Kushal
Prakashita.
Kushal Mehra.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kushal Mehra. Kushal. There's a bunch of things I don't agree with him on, but
Hmm.
I'd seen an interview of his on Prakhar's channel, and that's where he sort of mentioned this
Hmm.
particular thing. But there's this
I
scholar called
don't.
Dennis White.
I've read the Sam. I have read some of Sam Harris's books and seen his talks. I have never heard him say anything about Advaita Vedanta. I could be wrong. I do
Right.
remember him saying that he kind of sort of agreed with Buddhism.
Right. So, but perhaps this is just my sort of thing that I haven't seen your sort of take on Buddhism or things like the Advaita Vedanta. But if I have this time, can I ask you about what's your take on these
Yeah,
philosophies?
sure. See, here's the thing. I can tell you about Advaita Vedanta, but Buddhism is quite a wide bracket. उसके अंदर बहुत सारी philosophies आती हैं. So I'll tell you what I think of Advaita Vedanta. I think it's an interesting philosophical idea with, again, no evidence to back it. Since times immemorial, we have tried to figure out what reality means. This is one theory, and there is no evidence to back it. That's my position. Advaita Vedanta basically is the philosophy of non-dualism, I suppose, which
Yeah.
is basically the idea that the universe is actually one thing, and that there are Advaita means not two, which means one, which means everything is one, and that the universe is one mind, and that one mind is experiencing all of it, or something like that,
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
right? Yeah.
So it's basically just
So
the mind. There's no conception of God.
yeah,
It's yeah.
yeah. So I don't think, like, are you having a conversation with yourself right now?
See, that's the thing, right? Like, the thing is, the only way we can conceive of this world is through our perception and is through our mind, right?
No, that's
And
not
as
true.
far as
We can conceive of the real world with our senses, but what we perceive through our senses, we can verify through multiple points of view.
okay,
Like, I can hold up my phone and say, this is my phone, and you can say, how do you know your phone is there? All you have is your senses to perceive it, right? But then I can show my phone to you. Hey, do you think this phone is rectangular and black? And you'll say, yeah. And I'll say, okay, so that's what I also perceive. So I have 2 points of view verifying the same thing. I can do this with multiple people. And the more consensus I have about this, the more sure I am about this thing.
right?
I
But
think
see, as far as
philosophically speaking, I'm a materialist.
fair
So
enough,
Advaita Vedanta is obviously something I will not agree with. But I think that is mainly because there is no evidence to, there is no way we can come to any conclusion about Advaita Vedanta without evidence.
fair enough. Yeah. Do I have more
Yeah.
time or have I run out?
Yeah, sure. Ask one more question. There are like 5 people waiting, but ask one more
Okay.
question if you want to.
So in that same, I'll put my light on if there's, I don't know.
Cool.
Maybe the setup a little more brighter. But anyway, so basically on that part, don't you feel that however much we may use our senses and a sort of this whole aspect of comparing our results with, let's say, another individual or something of that sort, there still comes time, like, don't you sort of have it like, okay, this is sort of floated about in the general landscape, so people give different terms to it. Some people call it the zone, some people call it, I don't know, something like writers have a term for it, athletes have a term for
Yeah,
it, that
yeah,
they're in their zone, they're in that particular
yeah.
period where it's almost like
Flow
time has
state.
stopped. Yeah, the flow state.
Flow state.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So haven't you sort of felt that in your life? Like if you're engaged in a certain
I
thing,
do, I
like
do. In
if
fact,
you're
I'm
writing
I'm a
something, if
writer.
you're, yeah.
I am a writer. I write every day, and I experience flow state maybe if I'm lucky once or twice a week.
Huh, huh.
But that's the thing. The flow state comes not from somewhere outside. It is a function of your brain. So I don't understand where the complication is.
Yeah, but don't you think?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So from what I heard from you, you said that it's simply because we possibly haven't, in the scientific endeavor, come to sort of logically put it down on paper. Is that what you were saying in the last bit?
See, my point is I don't know if there is a way to find out if the flow state or any kind of mental experience originates anywhere outside the physical body.
Hmm.
I don't know what methods also we could apply. If there is a method at some point of time, I'll be happy to apply it and find out the conclusions and happy to believe the conclusions. But right now, all we have are assertions that cannot be verified with any evidence because there is none. It's just assertions, right? Or are you bringing
Right.
evidence
Yeah.
to the table?
No, but isn't the whole sort of the landscape in which the people from the Vedantic, so the people who are, let's say, who prescribe to the Advaita Vedanta school of thought, they say that it is simply
Hmm.
because of our ego, right? And our ego wouldn't allow us to, because it wants to sort of reduce everything that is objectable, and that we can sort of perceive it or we can sort of understand it. Whereas if, where they're talking about these things as the Atman, they're talking about things which are beyond sort of comprehension. We can only talk about things if they have a form in some sense. And the people who
So
sort of make
so how do we
arguments,
know? How do we know that there is something beyond our comprehension? Give me an example of something that you think is beyond our comprehension.
I don't know, right? I'm on the same plane as you are right now.
Exactly.
That's why I'm sort of,
So
yeah.
so it's I think a lot of times what happens is that these conversations get hijacked into territories where we keep talking about extra physical reality or beyond our comprehension, and we don't even stop to consider if there is something there. Mostly it's
Right.
just talk, right? It's just talk.
Hmm.
We talk about things out there, things over there, things beyond, but what is that? There isn't even a clear definition of it that we can agree on. Forget evidence.
Mm.
So my
But
point is, all of this is better explained by the fact that human beings are imaginative animals.
okay,
We
yeah.
exercise our imagination to create things in our heads. We
Mm.
share those concepts with each other, and the conceptualized the this concept level framework forms the bedrock of human society. Like, democracy isn't a tangible thing. It's an idea we made up, and we now
Mhm.
base our society on it, and it seems to work, right?
Yeah.
So that is the thing. I think the solution to all of these high-fangled extra physical realities is simply that we thought something up, and that makes much more sense to me.